From Sigma Woman, this is the Business for Aligned Women podcast. I'm your host, Clara McKay, your aligned business coach and advocate for all things showing up for your vision. This is a no BS space for brave-hearted women who are actually craving change. I'm dedicated to bringing women's visions into reality, equipping women with all they need to build an abundant future, and shutting down all of the ways that you keep yourself small. Here, we're all about a women-centered approach, non-negotiable value alignment, and making bank without compromising your well-being. Each week, you're already one step closer to your most aligned. Today, we are talking about if you are too close to your business. Before we get into it, this is the absolute final call, the very last chance to join the Gentle Business Program before March 2025. If you would like to chat with me about it, you can book a free call with me to talk with me for 20 minutes one-to-one on what's going on in your business and how I can support you. If you are just ready and you want to secure your space, you can also do that on my website. Check those things out in the show notes. And in the show notes as well, there's also going to be a link to a very old episode of mine called You Are Not Your Business. And I get a ton of great feedback from that. I've got a lot of clients from that episode. And that episode's kind of roofing on what we're talking about today in a broader way. We're going to get a little bit more specific today. I wanted to title this podcast Symptoms of Emotional Enmeshment in Business, but I realized that some people don't understand what that means. And I've also had a lot of people say to me, I don't have that. Why is she talking about that? And then later realizing, holy shit, yes, I do. I have that 100%. I really need some help with it. So if you've got a narrative that you're not emotionally enmeshed in your business, I would love you to try and listen to this short episode where I'm going to explain the symptoms and the effects that indicate to me that you are. And obviously in saying this, I'm opening the space for you that there's a possibility to have the opposite. So for all the negative kind of things that I'm going to be talking about today, you are entirely capable of completely turning that around in every single point. And that is something that coaching will help you with. Let's talk about first what enmeshment actually means, because it's a big word. Enmeshment means that there's no distinction between you beginning, and we're talking about your business specifically, and your business ending. So you're thinking about 24/7. It's part of your identity. It's part of who you are. And you don't have like a separate life apart from it. The definition of enmeshment is a lack of privacy, boundaries, and independence that can all be signs to describe relationships that struggle to balance autonomy and connection. So we're talking about the relationship you have with your business today, and that autonomy of being able to be your own self and do what you want to do and have freedom and spaciousness, which I know for a lot of you, that's one of your highest values, while being able to show up in it and develop consistency. Already, I think there's probably some things that are setting off little bells in your mind. I'm going to run through the symptoms, and I want to just reiterate that you're not bad if this is your experience. There's nothing wrong with you, but it would entirely serve you to fix this. And this is something that I fix with my clients. So number one is overthinking, just spending way too long mulling over and being indecisive on every single aspect of your business. And I do see people who've been doing this for years. You should be consciously, strategically considering in your business, but you shouldn't be like stressing yourself in your thoughts around your business. The next one, which I know I've talked about a little bit recently, it's worth repeating, and there will be a couple more episodes on this, is thinking that your content needs to be hyper emotional or hyper sincere, or that you need to give so much of yourself in every single piece of content. This is not only is it going to cause you burnout, but it's a really backwards way of thinking, because a lot of the time people aren't being realistic with how many people are actually going to see that piece of content and its shelf life. Simply, if you have a podcast, you should think a bit more about that episode. If you're talking about a story, that's like a 24-hour. Most people are going to be scrolling past that, and it's a very small percentage of your following and an even lower percentage of new followers who are going to see that story. So if you've gutted yourself to make it, that is not a sustainable practice. The next one is worrying about how you will be personally perceived if you show up in your business. I'm going to say that again. Worrying or being concerned about how you will be personally perceived if you show up in your business. I don't want to show up in my business because people are going to think X about me. People are going to say X about me. People are going to judge me as a person. But we're not talking about you and we're not talking about your identity. We're talking about your business. But if you're thinking that, what's going to happen in your content, and maybe that's why you're holding yourself back from showing up consistently online, this is caused by emotional enmeshment and being too close to your business. In the same vein, the next one is taking rejections or feedback personally. So if someone doesn't sign up with you or they tell you they've gone with someone else, that causing you to be upset. If someone gives you any form of feedback, it causing you to feel really touchy in any way, positive, negative. Those are signs that you are way too close to your business. And I just want to remind you that rejection is part of this, and you getting rejected is just a sign that you're actually doing it. And it's actually a good sign, because the more that you get rejected, the more that you're putting yourself out there, and the longer you're in business, the less these things are going to sting. I am a very honest person, and I do want to be honest here. If someone, say, reaches out to me, says they want to do coaching with me, I give them 20 minutes of my time and really support them, maybe give them some free resources. And then they say, I'll message you tomorrow. And then they ghost me and never respond to me again. I don't take it personally. I'm not pissed off, but it certainly tells me why their business sucks and why they're not making any money. So even you can hear it in my voice, I can have a laugh about it. And it's like, of fucking course you need a coach, because you're not even remotely close to running your business professionally, because a professional would just never conduct themselves like that. And not to mention any of that, but it's rude and it's really repulsive manners. So I have feelings around that. But if someone sends me a message and they say, I've decided you're not the right coach for me, or I don't want to do this with you, they don't even need to say thanks for your time. Thank you so much for letting me know. If you have any other pieces of feedback that as to why you've made that decision, or if I said or did anything on the call, I would really appreciate you telling me. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes they'll come back and they'll give me some great pointers. Every single time that that happens, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful that we've had that conversation. I'm so grateful that they've taken the time to give me the pointers. And some of the feedback, I'll be like, well, yeah, I'm not the right coach for you if that was the reason, because I don't operate like that. Or I'll be like, that's a really good point, and I need to integrate that. And I will tell you, every time I get rejected, which I have very, very low levels of people not following through. But if ever it does happen, and if ever they give me feedback, and if ever I integrate that feedback, it actually really ups my sales. But if you're taking that personally, taking that rejection personally, and you're not able to access that feedback, or you're upset about it, you're really missing out on a lot of opportunities to make things better. And again, getting upset, and I'll say especially longer term, because I think you're allowed to be upset, and maybe one day or 2 days even, but upset for months, using it as your excuse to not show up for many, many months when something doesn't go right, you're too close, you're emotionally enmeshed. You can be pissed off for a bit, get it out of your system, but then you got to pull your socks back up and keep going. Feeling, and this is a bit niche, but I think it's going to land with a lot of you. Feeling like you're very confused and overwhelmed in your business, and kind of burnt out from the stress and the overthinking, because you've intertwined it with future projecting and future worry. So you're so worried about what's going to happen in 6 months, or you're doing psychic thinking, like you're predicting what's going to happen in 6 months, even though you have no idea, or magical thinking, where you're like bringing all this spirituality stuff into it and making things mean things that don't mean things. rather than just giving things a try and seeing what happens. So that was long-winded and it was niche, but I know some of you are hitting it. Feeling like you are thinking about your business 24/7, even when you're meant to be relaxing, even when you're meant to be exercising, even when you're meant to be with friends, or like you can't catch up with friends without talking about your business. Again, that's a sign of this. Feeling like your business is you, even if you have a personal brand, because your business is not you. Your business is a legal entity that is functioning on its own and should be functioning on its own without you needing to be present for it. And even if you have a personal brand, there needs to be some separation between your personal life, your private life, and what's going on. And I guarantee you that the people who've built multi-million-dollar companies via a personal brand are still keeping certain things sacred, not feeling like you can actually be yourself in your content. And I see that as being because you're unconsciously worried that you won't be accepted, when in reality, it's your business that won't be accepted, not you. Okay. And you're kind of intertwining not getting likes or not getting follows with you being wrong, rather than maybe the content's not right, or maybe the offer's not right. And I see this playing out in a really funny way that is really cute and really funny, when people put on fake voices or fake personas in their content now. If you scroll far back enough through my content, I did that too. I'm not immune to this. But if you don't feel like you can actually be yourself and be who you are, if you were talking on a phone call with your friends, people can tell. And that's often like, if you're posting really consistently and you're just not growing your following, that's usually what's going on, because people can tell that it's inauthentic. Never treating your business like a job. Now, a lot of you are going to be like, well, but I made my business so I didn't have to have a job. No, it still needs to be treated with respect and treated with some form of consistency, and you need to create a routine around it. And if you treat your business like a job, you can leave it at work. If you treat your business as a creative personal project, you're carrying that with you all the time, 24/7, and you're never actually letting yourself relax. Again, the next one, treating your business like a personal creative project. So one way that this plays out is not having a long-term plan and then changing things month by month according to your personal vision. I'm certain that all of your ideas are amazing. They need to be plotted a little bit further in advance, especially if you're going to be properly marketing things, because things take a lot longer than you think they do. Okay. And people need things repeated to them many more times than you imagine before they'll think about buying them from you. Last few here, every time something happens in your life, your personal life, dropping the ball in your business for weeks or months. Now, if something happens and you need to take time off, like, I'm not telling you off for that. And if you need bereavement leave or you get sick, like, of course, don't be silly. But if that means you cannot face your business for 3 months, that's not normal. And that's a sign of things being way, way, way too enmeshed. Unable to establish consistency. So like, you just cannot find a way of being consistent in your business, is probably due to this enmeshment. And these last two, I know a lot of you are going to resonate with. Being in what you feel like is a freeze state, like you just can't move forward, you just can't take action, even though psychologically you want to, or being in that stop-start state of like, you're either operating at 2000% or -15. All of these things are what we conquer, we solve, and we fix. And I will give you so many tools for you to continue resetting and
if you can't
adjusting
tell,
these things.
Getting to share this time with you is something that I find truly sacred. I know that you're busy, but if you've taken anything away from our time spent together today, could you extend the love and share this episode with a friend, your community, or on your socials? Tag me so that I can see it and I can share it too. Or when you have a spare moment, leave the podcast a review. These things cost you nothing and will mean so much to me. Let's get this resource into the hands of more women visionaries and help us collectively move towards our most aligned way of being and doing business together.